Hey guys, my name is Mike and I'm a 3D character artist. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I go about laying out my UVs for my 3D characters. So what are UVs? Well, UVs are just a 2D representation of your 3D mesh. So as you can see on the screen, I have my boxy red mesh. And if you look at the UV editor, she has UVs, but they're not properly laid out. Here's a mesh with the UVs properly laid out. So I'm going to show you how I go about maximizing the texture space to get the UV properly laid out. UVs are essential to get your model beautifully textured like the model you see on the screen. So where do we start? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is actually go up to the UV editor menu. I'm going to press camera-based projection. And what that does, it quickly projects your model in a 2D space. Now, what I'm going to do, UV editor menu, and I'm going to utilize the 3D cut tool. All right, this model has a mouth bag. So what I want to do is go underneath the mesh. I'm going to go into component mode, hit edges, and I'm going to select these edges right here. Let me just frame up. I'm going to select the edges along this line right here. And then I essentially just cut that off. So now if we go back to the editor tool, go to component, hit UV shell, you can see now I can select and isolate that shell that I just hit. I can hover over this shell and press the D key, which will isolate it from the mesh. Notice what happened inside of the UV editor. The inside of the mouth has essentially been extracted from the head in 2D space. Now what I can do, I can actually exit the tool, and inside of the UV editor, I can choose UV, select the UV, hit Control click, and hit select to shell. Now I can move this independently from the head mesh. What I also want to do is just kind of split this off down the middle. So what I can do is select edges, double click this line down the middle. We can go up to cut and sew and just hit cut. Now this is the mouth bag split in half. So we have a left side and we have a right side. Now we can come over to the menu. Let me just open this up some so you can see what I'm doing. And we can utilize the unfold tool. So one of my favorite tools is optimize. So if you click optimize, you further unfold that UV, which is pretty cool. So, but what I want to do is unfold them together. So Control Z that, select all the UVs again, or we can hit unfold. Boom. Quickly unfold the mesh. And you can further like unfold it by using the optimize tool, which is another one of my favorite. Or you can just simply hit optimize. And for the inside of the mouth bag, we don't really need to have this take up a whole lot of UV space because nobody's gonna see that. So what I want to do is actually select both of these, scale them down. And what I like to do is just place it somewhere in the corners. So I can put one on the right side, and it can be super small because like I said, no one is actually going to see the inside of the mouth. So we can just scale it real small. And I'm going to place one over here in this corner. Select this one and place it in the other corner, like so. Okay, so what we're going to do about the head now? All right, well, we're going to go back to the UV tool. Actually, we can just go to edges, select edges. And what I want to do is select the middle line for this head mesh. So this is the center line for my head mesh. But we don't want to select it all the way through. So what I'm going to do is actually control click about right here. And now we have this line selected to the base of the neck. Now what we're going to do is hit cut and sew. And we're just going to hit cut. Okay. So now that I have cut that mesh, what I can do now is select just any portion of these UVs. We're going to select the entire mesh by going to UV shell. And we can hit unfold. And this just opens the UV up. So now we have that 2D representation that I mentioned earlier. We can utilize the UV, the optimize tool, to kind of get these UVs the way we want them. So now you can see that we have a 2D representation here. It looks like a face. Now I want to further maximize this texture space because right now we're texturing in a 4K texture space. So what I'm going to do is manually move the corners of the mesh. So for instance, I'm going to take this one and move it up like this, take this one and do it like that. But I want to do it in a way where it's not destroying the mesh. So I'm going to take these corners. I'm going to press B key to activate soft selection. And I'm just going to move this down into this corner right here. I'm going to do the same on the right side. We can actually take the middle and move it down too. And then take the corners of the head, top of the head, move it like that. Bring this down, bring this over, bring this down. Now watch this cool trick right here, because what I want to do is get everything squared off. We can select this line here, which is the base of the neckline. So basically we can just double click out in the viewport, double click this bottom line here, and we essentially selected this line in 2D space. So there's a tool over here. It's called the Align and Snap tool. What I'm gonna do is convert this to vertices. Okay, so now I can move this like independently from everything else. Nothing else is moving but the baseline. Okay, now I'm just gonna hit this snap tool right here. And now we have those UVs perfectly aligned to the base of the UV map. We can do the same for the side of the head. And what that line is just this line right here that we already cut. Post this up. That's this line right here that we cut at the beginning of this process. So I'm going to select this line. No, select this line. And I'm going to double click this line. So now I have one side of the mesh, both sides of the mesh selected. I'm going to select these UVs right here. Control and right click and say 2UV, 2 UVs. I'm going to deselect this side right here. I don't want to touch that one yet. And now what I'm going to do is do this align and snap tool once again to align this to the left side. So I'm just going to hit this button here. And now I've essentially aligned my UVs to that UV layout line. And I can get it as close as I want to this edge to maximize the total space that we have. Okay, I'm gonna do the same for the other location. So just control right click to UV, and this time I'm gonna deselect the left side. So control click those, and now I'm gonna hit the align to the other side. And we just push those UVs closer to that edge. Okay. Let me move the mouth bag up a little bit more out of the way. This side is fine. Now what I can do is select these top edges. Select all of these and deselect that. I'm going to utilize the align and snap tool once more, but this time I'm going to press this button and that snapped the UVs. Okay, now that I have my UVs to a pretty good spot, we still need to fix the overlapping UVs that are on the edge. So what I've done was essentially squared off the edges of this UV mesh. In order to fix the ones that are overlapping, what we're going to do is right click and hit edges, and we're just going to double click that border edge. Now we're going to hold Control and right click, and we're just going to say to UV, and then we're going to go up to edit and hit pin selection. Now what happens is when I select all of my UVs now and I hit the unfold or optimize tool, the border edge won't move. The only UVs that'll move are the ones that's inside. So let's give it a try. I'm going to hit optimize. Now you can see those overlapping UVs are now within the UV editor space. Okay, you've officially laid out your UVs to utilize the maximum texture space. Now you have perfect UVs, and once you start texturing, you can get the highest quality texture possible. If you like this content, please leave a like or a comment and share, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.